this is Hussein here from TotalUrbanSurvival.com, and it is Weapons Wednesday. Today I'll be answering the question, what the hell is the purpose of studying traditional weapons? Okay, so now I got this question from a student online, and it was actually a really good question. I was really impressed to hear this question, because it's a question that usually people, especially students, don't ask. What is the purpose actually of studying a weapon that is pretty much outdated and you're not going to be carrying it around all the time on a daily basis anyways, right? So what's the purpose of it, and why should we continue to make those the effort to study those type of weapons? Now, the question is really good, and please, anybody who's got any more questions, you can always ask me these questions on social media or Telegram. And I was very happy to receive this one, because most questions like this go unanswered, because a lot of instructors don't like to answer this kind of question, or in fact, sometimes any question that comes from a student. They just want the student to obey and then continue. Do what I tell you to do, but don't ask why I ask you to do it. So some instructors are like that. Personally, I'm not like that. My teacher was not like that. And I don't favor teachers who are like that, because I believe in education. And I think that education is the cornerstone for society. And I'm a teacher. And I believe that this is the best way to go, that we should be open, we should discuss with our students, and we should make sure that there's understanding behind the action, rather than just simply mimicking what an instructor does. Okay? So that being said, I'd like to answer this question now. But before we answer this question, we're going to take a look at one of my instructors. His name is Abang Jung, and he is from Bekasi in Indonesia. And the system is Golok Terbang Bekasi. And you can take a look at him performing for 30 seconds before I continue to answer this question. All right, so there we go. That was a great presentation by Bang Jong from Bekasi. And he was basically performing the Golok. The Golok is a traditional weapon that is carried by the Betawi people and people all over Indonesia and Malaysia. It's very popular, but there are different names for it all over the place. Golok is pretty much the standard uniform weapon for people in Jawa Barat, especially the western part of Java Island in Indonesia. It's super popular over there. Okay, so what exactly is the purpose? At the end of the video, actually, I'm going to tell you my top pick for traditional weapon for you. And I'm going to leave that one to the end. So if you stick around, you can hear that one. But I'm going to tell you right off the bat, what is the value of this? Because it's a really important one. First of all, when you look at the value of traditional weapons, there are a lot of things. And the first thing on my list of 5 things is, first of all, body mechanics. When you're looking at a traditional weapon, you learn a lot of things that go along with that weapon. It's not just swinging around the sword. There's a lot of body mechanics that goes into becoming successful in wielding that sword. So you're looking at footwork. You're looking about how to generate power. You're looking about how to generate torque in your body so that you're able to get that fluidity in your movement. You're looking at continuation of technique. So, for example, when you attack with a golok, or you attack with a karambit, or any other traditional weapon, any knife or whatever, when you attack with the weapon, you are applying a specific technique, and then you continue into the next technique, and you flow into one technique into the next one, and then you're able to draw, strike, move, all of those things. It's a continuation and flow that you're building there. So now, those body mechanics that you're learning when you're doing those traditional weapons play, you're doing it again and again and again. It's hours of practice. Your body starts to learn how to move in something called warrior body culture. And this is something I've been teaching for 20 years, because it's the foundation of being successful in every martial art, is being able to understand warrior body culture. How do you actually move in order to fight properly so that your positioning is good? You're able to release your weapons, access your weapons at the right time. You're able to protect your vital targets, which other people are going to be trying to attack. Those things are part of the jurus, the forms, which are taught within the systems. So if you're looking, for example, I'm a teacher for Pencak Silat. So if you're looking for specifically a Pencak Silat, when I'm teaching the person the form, inside of the form for this, they're going to be learning all of those different things. So it's not just a question of should the person learn this form because they like it, but they're learning the form because it benefits them for learning the entire body culture of the system and how to take care of their body in a situation of combat, how their body should move in a situation of combat. So body mechanics is the first thing on the list, which is super important when you're looking at learning traditional weapons and why it's still valuable and applicable to learn traditional weapons. The second thing is indirect application. Whenever you are learning something, for example, like a golok, or you're learning stick, or you're learning staff, or anything like that, those things can be directly applied to other things within your environment. You don't always walk around with a weapon, especially you don't walk around with a weapon drawn all the time, right? So you're not walking around with a weapon drawn all the time. So basically, when you are in the environment, you're able to access different things which are similar to the weapons that you learned. A golok is similar to a butcher knife in terms of application and usage. Okay, you've got a butcher knife right in the kitchen. You use it all the time. A stick is similar to a staff or branch or something you can find outside. A staff, a long staff, is similar to a broom handle. There are so many different things. If you look at how to use a shield, your school bag, okay, or the bag that you used to go to work with, you can use that as a shield also. If you have a couple of books in there or a computer, that can stop a knife, okay? That can stop a knife. So if you're looking at how to use a shield and a knife together, or a shield and a stick together, or a sword together, that is then your shield. And your hand, or whatever you have in your hand, it could be anything that you pick up, will then translate into the knife, or the sword, or whatever it is, or the stick, or whatever you would have in your second hand. So then it's an indirect application that can allow you to use anything in your environment as a weapon, if you're taught properly and you're open-minded to that idea. The third thing is timing and positioning. So basically, timing and positioning are the things that you get when you are moving against an adversary. So for example, in a situation like dueling, I always say Pencak Silat Sharaf is not a dueling system. I don't practice dueling because I don't think it's so directly applicable to what we do in the year 2021. But it doesn't mean I never do it, and it doesn't mean that I don't teach it. I do teach it, and I do it, but it is in limited context because it's not that relevant. But it still has value because it's teaching us timing, it's teaching us positioning, and when you learn a traditional weapon like that, you're going to be learning it with another person also. You're not going to be doing it alone all the time. You're going to be learning with another person. You're going to be able to then understand that positioning and that timing that goes along with learning that weapon. The next thing for number 4 is going to be the physical conditioning. So when you wield these type of weapons, there's a lot of physical conditioning that goes along with it. When you look at something, for example, like a staff, if you use a staff and a heavy staff, or you use a stick and heavy sticks, like for example, what's it called there? Kayu besi. Kayu besi is iron wood. In the Philippines, they call it kamagong. So maybe those of you who are Filipino martial arts practitioners, you have used those sticks before. Bahasa Malaysia and Bahasa Indonesia, it's called kayu besi. So this is an iron wood. It's a very heavy wood for fighting. It's not a wood that is used for practice or something like that. You use the thin bamboo sticks or something like that for practice, but you don't use kayu besi for practicing to hit other people, right? When you're training with your partner. So basically, when you are training, you're training also the physical conditioning that goes along with it. When you use heavier weapons in order to train the traditional patterns, then you're also learning and getting conditioning with that as well. So it's a kind of physical conditioning for different movements of the body and getting speed attributes and things like that when you're learning the weapon. And then when you learn with a heavy weapon, like for example a sword or something like that, you translate to a knife, you end up to be very, very fast with the knife, which is a weapon which you can easily carry on a daily basis in your EDC, right? And the last thing, which is super important, is tradition. I mean, people they undervalue the importance of tradition. In our modern martial arts context now, we undervalue the importance of tradition. I have a certain responsibility to maintain that tradition, to maintain that respect, that honor for the country, for the values that we inculcate to our students, and also for the beliefs and the principles that we hold as practitioners of Pencak Silat. Or if you're a practitioner of something else, then you have certain values which are inherent in your system. So those things have to be transmitted to the next generation, and that tradition transmits those things into the next generation. And part of that is the jurus. Part of that is the reasons why those jurus were created. Though there's history behind all of those jurus. There's value in those jurus because they teach lessons of what happened to people in the past. When you look, for example, in Pencak Silat Sharaf, we have Juru Khalid. Khalid ibn Walid was a very famous and great commander in the past. We have this juru, which is named after him, which teaches us about the history and the strategy and the tactics and the mindset of that man and how he led other men. And I can apply that into my life today. I can apply it with my family, with my friends, with my business, with everything that I do, not only in martial arts. So that is the value of learning the tradition that goes along with the weapon that you are picking up. So when we look at it in totality like that, it becomes something that is beautiful, something that is valuable, something that is all-encompassing to everything that we do in our life, not just something that is old from 100 years ago that I can't use on the street anymore to fight another human, okay? So you have to look beyond the physical and look at everything in totality, and then you see the value of what it is. So I hope that was clear for everybody, and I hope that answered the question for the person who asked me that question. And thank you again for the question, brother. I really appreciate that. And lastly, I'd like to share with you my personal choice for traditional weapon. And my personal choice for the traditional weapon is the Golok. This is one of the most practical of the traditional weapons that you can find. And it is one of the most useful ones because you can still keep it in your car, you can still keep it in your house, you can still have it with you and use it and apply it if you need to use it in a self-defense situation to protect yourself or your family. So I find it to be one of the most useful of the traditional weapons, and it is one which has super deterrence factor also. When somebody picks up a parang or a golok, it's a very big deterrent against adversaries. And I think that that is probably one of the best choice for traditional weapons training. Okay, so that's my spiel for today, and I hope everybody enjoyed that. And you can always contact me at totalurbansurvival.com, or you can message me directly on Telegram through our Telegram group, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions if you send them to me on a weekly basis, okay? Take care of yourselves, brothers and sisters. I love you all. Stay strong, stay lethal, stay humble.